Hey guys, welcome to this video in which we are talking about the concept of joint rotations. So we can rotate in each joint, and this is super important for the health of the joints, because then we are kind of lubricating the joints. We keep them mobile, we keep them soft and engaged. And this concept is super interesting because it will help to keep our joints healthy, as I already said, but also it's a great easy and daily revisable tool for self-assessment and rehabilitation. So for example, if I do the joint rotations on a daily basis, I will every day have a self-assessment, check-in, mapping, whatever you want to call it, with my body, with my joints, and through this I get to know myself better, and I can also react, or let's say plan my day by day. And this is super important when it comes more to the idea of intuitive training planning also. So of course it's important to have a training plan and sometimes to follow it, but sometimes we have to check in with ourselves, and maybe we feel, okay, I'm rotating my shoulder and I feel, oh, it's a bit weird today, not so good as yesterday, not as free, not as open. So maybe I don't do heavy overhead pressing or handstands or whatever, but maybe I do a bit more of mobility, softness, try to get some range back and a good feeling. That's what I mean with self-assessment tool or check-in. And at the same time, it's also a great rehabilitation tool, because when we have a small injury, let's say in the wrist, then the question is, okay, what can we do? And we should definitely do something directly after the injury happened. So for example, we can start maybe just to rotate our wrist joint a little bit, to get some blood flow in this area and to help the recovery process. So also here the joint rotations are super helpful. What is important for the joint rotations, or let's say there are some ideas we can work with. The first is control, and the second is range of motion. This means when we do the joint rotations on a daily basis, then we try to control the whole range as good as possible, and at the same time we are trying to have or go through our biggest range of motion. So it's not just this, but we try to really go through the whole range of motion we have. And also through this we are increasing the range of motion day by day. One last thing. I think it's clear that here again the principle of use it or lose it really is true. If we do not use our joints within the full range of motion, the range of motion will decrease with time. So also because of that, it makes a lot of sense to check in with the ranges and really show the body, or give a signal to our body, hey, I really want to have this range. Okay, that's it from the introduction. Let's start. So we go from our head to our toes. We do all joints, and important is that you understand that I don't show all possible rotations. There are most likely always also kind of or so-called micro variations possible. And I really invite you to search for them and play with it. So as an example, if I start with the head, and we do so now, I do my rotation. So this could be the normal rotation. I could also maybe see, okay, how else can I rotate? Yeah, so is there a micro variation possible? It's also getting more clear in the shoulder later. But this is another idea you can really use micro variations, create micro variations. That's especially important with the joints, for the joints. Okay, so that's the head, yeah? The basic head rotation, we are doing 10 repetitions. Later, I would recommend to do 25 for each joint rotation you do and each direction. And change direction. Okay, next then is the shoulder. So we have the simple shoulder rotation or shoulder circle, yeah, to the back. 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now stop for a moment and I show you what I mean with micro variations. For example, I could just bring the arms into a different position and then do the circles. This will directly give a different stimuli, yeah? But it's still a circle in the shoulder. This is one idea. I can do this here, 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 wherever, yeah? There is a lot to explore within the concept of micro variations. Another idea is also, okay, here I see I can move one shoulder separately from the other one. This means I can also do more opposing things or unilateral things. I could just move with one shoulder, or for example, I could say I move one shoulder back whilst the other is going to the front. Yeah, or sorry, the other way around. And you see now I did it differently again, because I can either say both shoulders are up and down at the same time. Yeah, or I can say one shoulder is up and one shoulder is down. And from here I'm working. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things, or there are a lot of different things possible. Okay, but that's it for the shoulder for this video. In the future, play with it. Yeah. Then we can for sure also do a full circle with the arm. 3, 4. I just do 5 in both directions, and I always try to have a big circle. And also here, for example, a micro variation could be I keep my torso to the front, or I rotate my torso. Yeah, both is possible. Rotate my torso, rotate my torso, keep my torso to the front. keep it to the front. Or rotate it again, and so on and so forth. Okay, the next joint is the elbow joint. We start just with a unilateral, so one-sided rotation. And you see, for example, I start like this, so the back of the hand is facing forward. I'm going inwards with my hands, sliding up here, and now I turn the hand outwards. Inwards, outwards. And through this I create the rotation in my elbow. And of course I can do this in the other direction. Yes, and if this is too easy, I can search for a microvariation. For example, I do one hand and the other, or arm and the other arm. Yeah, at the same time, both going inwards. Or I say one inwards, one inwards, one outwards. Yeah, also possible, and you see you can also create some coordinative challenges here. So it's not just circling, 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 but you can also learn something. Okay, that's it for the elbows. Again, you can find micro variations. Then we have the wrists. Basic idea, straight elbow, and I'm circling my wrist. Important is that the back of my wrist stays on top all the time, so I'm not doing this. So this point is not moving through space, but it's always facing up, and I try to get a big circle with my wrist. Yeah, obviously in both directions. You can do it unilateral or bilateral. Yeah. And also here, find micro variations. One could also, for example, be that you keep your elbow bent. Yeah, it's a bit different than when it's straight. You can also do it like this. Yeah, so find the micro variations. Okay, you can also do this with your fingers, at least with the thumb. Yeah, so I like this also because the thumb often is a bit tensed, or the joint and the muscles around, because we are using it a lot with the phone. Yeah, so you can also play here a bit, maybe with open fingers, or as before, closed fingers, etc. Okay, zoop, we go back into the thoracic spine. Thoracic spine, basic circle. You know already from the basic tilts, rotations, circles. And of course, you can also find micro variations for this. So for example, where are my hands? Are they free? Do I hold them here? Do I hold them here? Do I hold them up? Yeah. And sorry, I'm always saying hands, but I mean also the arms for sure. I learned that it's a thing in the south of Germany that we say foot when we mean the leg, and we say hand when we mean the arm. So it's always hand for hand and hand for arm and foot for foot, but also foot for leg. It's a bit stupid. Okay, so this is the thoracic spine. Then we have the lumbar spine, or the pelvis, the hip, and here for sure we can do this circle or this rotation. Yeah, but it can be also more of this thing. So again, here are many micro variations possible. This, by the way, I like to feel where the rotation is coming from. Yeah, that I hold my lower back with my thumb, but you can also relax the arms for sure. Okay, then we have the knees, and now it's getting interesting because we can play with open or closed kinetic chain. Open kinetic chain would be this here. Yeah, also interesting because you have to balance on one leg. For some people, for sure, an interesting thing to play with whilst something else is moving. Of course, we have both directions and both sides, but we can also do closed kinetic chain. This means, for example, this. Yeah, so both feet are planted on the floor. I can circle like this and in the other direction, but I can also bring my feet together, circle now. Yeah, so you see also here a lot of different micro variations. I can play how I position my feet, yeah, like this, maybe like this. So a lot of things to explore. And then we come to the ankles, and here it's the same. I can have an open kinetic chain ankle circle, which is really nice. You feel it quite well. You feel definitely some restrictions in the joint, in the range of motion. For me, at least in the ankle, it's always super interesting. Remember that you always want to have the biggest, or go through your biggest range of motion. So you really want to force your body and show it, hey, I want to use this range, not just a small range. Expect you're not coming from an injury. Yeah, of course, if you're using it for rehabilitation after an injury, then maybe a small circle is enough. But then that's also, you always aim for the biggest possible range of motion. And we can also here, for sure, if I do the closed kinetic chain knee circles, I'm also already working my ankles. Yeah? So that's also an option. But I can also do, for example, this circle in my ankle. Yeah, so that's also closed kinetic chain, but with a bit more focus on my ankle. Yeah. And if I do another closed kinetic chain for the ankles, then maybe something, so for example, if I do this open stance for the knees, I focus more on the knees. The ankles are part of it, but it's not the focus. And if I would like to focus on the ankles, then the movement would look a bit different. For example, I would do more of this thing. Now definitely the knees are part, but the focus is much, much more on my ankles. Yeah, so you see there are still differences in how you can approach it. All right, that are the joint rotations. With all you have to know for now, I think you can now explore it. As I said, you can use it daily as a check-in tool, self-assessment. Use it when you have small injuries or recovering from an injury. Rotations are always important, and use it just to not lose your function, your range of motion in the joints. Enjoy!